Yo guys, and welcome back to Dylan's Little Hobbies. And in today's video we are going to be, of course, talking about my Isle top-off system, my ATO. We're going to be talking about this system, and we're also going to be discussing my testing of and the bumps I've hit along the way for the past month. So I don't know when this video is going to be uploaded. I know it's going to be uploaded after my temperature controller system video, but this is going to be about the ATO, and this is going to be about the little hiccups I've found with this system that I have had for about a month now. Yes, when I am filming this video, it is indeed January 18th, same day I filmed the other video. I don't know when these videos are going to come out. I have tons of other videos coming before this one. I have tons of videos coming after this one. But, yeah, for right now, just so you guys know, it's January 18th. So I've had this tank running for about 3, almost 4 weeks now. And, yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started talking about my Isle top-off system. This entire month, I've just been kind of testing all of the equipment that I've had on the tank, and this one I am going to be talking about the ATO. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. So the Isle top-off system that I decided to go with is the hydor Isle top-off system, and the reason why I decided to go with this one is because it doesn't have any of those weird float switches. Like, I've heard some weird little stories out there where, you know, the Isle top-off system gets stuck, hopefully off, but a lot of the times it gets stuck on, and it's because the salt is kind of corrosive, and it can kind of gather on your equipment, and when it gathers on float switches, it gets them stuck, and then it could get hopefully stuck off, but normally it gets stuck on, which is pretty bad. And because of that, this is my first saltwater tank. I don't want to deal with any equipment that has a high possibility of failing. And granted, the ATO doesn't really have a high possibility of failing, assuming that you take care of its equipment properly, which means the only maintenance you gotta do on it really would be just to clean off the float switches. The float switches on your Isle top-off need to be maintenance every now and again. Clean off that excess salt, make sure it doesn't get stuck. Because I know that this is going to be my first saltwater system, I want it to be as easy as possible to maintain. So I really like the Isle top-off that hydor has, because what it has instead of a float switch, it has these little, I don't know the science directly, but it has these little tabs on it, and it has a sensor, and whenever the water is between those tabs, it knows that it's full. When the water is below the third tab, it knows that it's probably low, and it will turn the water on until it fills up to the second tab. It also has a third tab where if it hits that third tab, it activates an alarm and shuts everything off to tell you that you possibly overfilled your tank, which is really handy, and really accident prone prevention, which is great, because if for some reason your Isle top-off goes on and it adds too much water, that alarm is going to let you know whether you're, upstairs or inside the kitchen or something. That little alarm is going to go off, and it's going to be loud, and it is loud, because I have just to test it out, dumped it in the water to see how loud it is. It is pretty loud, and it definitely lets you know that your tank is possibly overfilled. Now, the way I have it set is, you see, on the Fluval Megaflex, there's also on the other two Flex aquariums, there's this black stripe that goes around the aquarium, and I have the top of it set just a little bit below that's the top of the tank. Obviously I'm going to show you in the video so you guys know what I mean. I typically only fill my aquariums halfway up that black stripe. It does actually kind of hide the water line a little bit, which is really, really cool, really, really nice when you're looking at the aquarium. But I have it halfway up that black line, and that's where the second level, the max filled level of the aisle top off is, and then of course the third one is just a little bit below the aquarium. So even if the aquarium does get overfilled, it's not going to overflow into my house just because of the way I have it set up. But yeah, you definitely don't want that top of the aquarium, the alarm, set at the very top of the aquarium, because if you do that, then it's going to go off, obviously, but then it will really start overflowing the tank, and then you have water everywhere around you, and that's obviously not a good idea. Now, that's just the aisle top-off system. Of course, this system does not come with the pump. I bought just a little, I think it was like a $20 pump off of Amazon. I don't even know what brand. I don't remember what brand this pump is. I will, of course, put this stuff down in the description below for you guys to check out if you guys want to. And I will remember, I'm going to try to remember to find this pump on Amazon and put it there in the description as well. It's like $25. It wasn't an expensive pump at all. I actually really do like this pump. It definitely pumps the water up at least 5 feet, and I have it set on its lowest setting for this tank, so it pumps it up about 4 feet, because the tank kind of sits about 4 feet off the ground, and it actually works quite well. This pump really does work quite well. However, the only hiccup that I've actually found with the system is kind of interesting because of the aisle top-off container I have. The aisle top-off container that I have is just a cereal container. It's a 1.5 gallon cereal container. And what's funny is, so I've monitored and tested out my equipment, and I lose about a gallon a week out of this aquarium. And of course that's because I have fans and everything, making sure that the water evaporates properly, making sure that the water temperature stays at 74 degrees and all that. So that's why I have to make sure how much water I lose. And I lose about a gallon of water a week, which is perfectly fine because the container is 1.5. But what I did find is really kind of funny. I was, because of the hose and everything else, I was finding that my pump was running bone dry. And of course that is not good for any pump, any water pump at all. You should never run your water pump bone dry. Now, I have a couple of options to fix this, right? I could, one, get a different pump, one that has the imports to the pump itself on the bottom of it, so it sucks up water from the bottom instead of from the side. Or I could also get a bigger water container, a bigger ATO container. But the thing is, because of the way the stand sits, on the Fluval Megaflex aquarium, I can't have a normal idle top-off container unless I put it to the side because it simply just won't fit in the cabinet. This cereal container is the only thing that I've found fitting the cabinet that I don't have to, of course, drill a hole into, because I could just get a regular storage box, drill a hole into it, and use it with all my plumbing and piping and everything else, and use that. I could do that, but then that requires me, punching a hole through the top of the box, and I really just didn't want to do that. So this cereal container for me has worked, and I was trying to figure out what am I going to do about the pump running dry. And then I actually came up with an interesting solution. I didn't have any money at the time, so I can't go buy another pump. I could buy another container, but what I came up with hilariously ended up working perfectly for my setup. Instead of having the pump face the side, I literally put the pump facing down, and it just has a tiny little gap where it sits up, and now I haven't had the pump running dry since then, because it isn't draining the container so fast that it's running dry. So I haven't had a problem since then. It's really funny because you're kind of like, well, it should have been like that from the starts. Well, I felt like a genius because I figured that out, and I felt like an idiot because it should have been like that from the start. I should have known that the pump was going to run the water quite quickly and then start running dry. So I could eventually replace the pump. I would probably replace the top-off container before I replace the pump. I would really like to get a bigger top-off container. Maybe that's an upgrade I could do in a couple of months. But for now, it's been working quite fine, and I find that the idle top-off, again, the tank itself loses about a gallon, and the idle top-off is about a gallon and a half. You'll wonder, well, why is the pump running dry? Where is the other half of the gallon going? Don't forget the pipe is there too. It's got to fill up the pipe as well. So that's where the other half of the gallon was going. So yeah, it's been working for about a month now, and I only lose about a gallon a week, which is perfectly fine for me, because that means that when I go do a water change, I can just replace the idle top-off container. Now, eventually I would like to get to the point where I only do water changes every 2 weeks, because on my freshwater tanks, I only do water changes every 2 weeks. But even so, I would be just fine with filling up the idle top-off with RODI water once a week. It takes about 20 minutes to 30 minutes to fill up the idle top-off with RODI water. So it's not really that big of a deal at all, and it's been working quite well for me. However, I really would like to get a bigger idle top-off container in the future. I will definitely say this: during the summer, I think I'm either going to have to get a bigger container, or I'm going to have to fill it up more often, because I'm pretty sure that during the summer it is going to get quite warm. And that is probably the only thing that I am kind of curious about and kind of worried about when it comes to this aquarium. But that is about it for today's video. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, that is my auto top-off system. That's what's been going up